There's a little bit of Bellular. A little bit of Bellular. World of Warcraft's final war is being set up right now. It's got to be some Shadow Void shit. Let's see what he has to say. And then we're getting straight into a heroic raid.
An eternal struggle with the Void since the beginning of our universe.
There you go.
And that war is about to land on Azeroth. It began with an ocean of light that, like the Naru, deteriorated into pockets of void. These empty pockets grew and expanded until they had the power to strike back against the light. This is what Chronicle calls the clash of light and void, the very beginning of the cosmos.
Clash of
the
order
beginning
and disorder.
also of a great cycle that would only end with one wiping the other from the face.
If you don't know, I forgot what her name was. Was it like, God, I can't remember. She's become like an extremist. Like basically pushing the light on everybody, and anyone who doesn't accept the light, she's killing. She's become like some, like a cultist leader. So she's gonna be relevant again. What was her name? It started with a Y or something, I think. We're gonna see her again. If you played through the orc, what's it called? What's it called? The undead lady? No. The Draenei lady from WoD. If you played through what's it called? The different color skin orcs quest line to unlock their that race, you saw the story behind this.
Of reality. The Void then embodies possibility. It sees all paths. It knows what tiny pushes and nudges will tilt probability in its favor.
God, I can't remember her name.
The light, however, is opposite.
There's some blank spots in my mind when it comes to WoD.
The one that leads to total domination.
He'll probably mention her
now,
name in
or
the video.
perhaps more realistically in 1 to 2 expansions,
Whoa, where is
they
he?
will
He's in his
both be
home or
turning
something.
their hungry gaze on the ultimate prize, Azeroth. Wholly unaware what they should really pay attention to, today's sponsor. NordVPN.com/Bellular Gaming is where you will get 2 years for only £2.59 a month and 4 months for
Uriel?
free.
Yeah,
Of course,
I think that's what it was. I said it started with a Y. I couldn't remember. I think that's her
Click that
name.
link down below. Now, NordVPN gives you freedom and security. It lets you browse the web, well, as if you're anywhere, and also enhances your security a lot. As an example, a lot of content is actually region locked, including a bunch of really useful US sites that I even use for work. So Nord saves me there.
NordVPN.
You've got streaming services, which are a killer use case for a tool like Nord. Just about every region has
Nord,
a different library on whatever streaming services you're using. So Nord basically unlocks a lot of value from things that you've already got. But of course, there's also the security side, right? Because your data is like encrypted. With Nord, it is a lot more secure than not.
If you did the Mag'har Orc quest line, you saw what she was doing. So she's in Draenor, alternate Draenor, essentially spreading the light on everybody. Just coming in and fanatically forcing it on people or killing them if they don't accept it. So she's completely lost her mind.
It will let you know, which is brilliant.
She's definitely going to come up in this whole void versus
security is only getting more and more important as time goes on, and that is why I use Nord. Of course, the app and browser extension are super easy to use, so head up nordvpn.com/Bellular Gaming for an amazing price on 2 years with 4 months for free, backed by their 30-day money-back guarantee. Okay, being serious with you, there are numerous hints in the game right now that have been added within this expansion that are essentially making all of this seem more likely and more timely. So, with that said, let's get going. And on one side will be Ashara, the would-be Queen of Azeroth, seemingly
the hentai tentacle queen herself.
Might of the Void. Even under N'Zoth, she was always queen, and she had schemes of her own. Now, according to some fresh lore, she has claimed the true throne of power that she sought.
I don't think either side is right or wrong.
Return from beyond the veil to reclaim what she feels is rightfully hers, which is rule over all. On the other side is Uriel, backed by the Lightbound army and the Light Mother. They showed us how brutally dogmatic the Light can be recently. You either serve or you die. Uriel is now the High Exarch and has fought a crusade on Draenor to convert all natives to the light, including alternate universe Garrosh. That crusade is only one dark portal launch sequence away from being unleashed upon
Alternate universe
us.
Garrosh.
So their armies gather, and soon the battle lines will be drawn. In the clash of light and void, we will have to choose a side. And that is where things actually get quite interesting.
God, I can already see the fan art. I can already see the fan, a lot of interesting, not safe for work fan art is going to come of this image. I feel it.
Legions of the Light and the shambling hordes of the Void are going to clash on Azeroth, but it very much seems to be gearing up as a 1-2 punch, likely with Void making it to the scene first. Today, we're not deconstructing Void whispers or any of that. That's fun.
Oh, yes.
We basically know it's going to be soon, and it can be left at that.
Some BFA
This
content.
expansion is doing some heavy lifting, trying to set up future content, even including the back of Azeroth. But not so subtly throughout the Isles, we are seeing signs that the Void wasn't defeated with N'Zoth. His death may even have...
N'Zoth wasn't defeated at all. I hope that's the case. I'd like to get played by N'Zoth. And nothing would turn me on more than to know I got completely played by N'Zoth. Be the greatest thing. I'd be like, oh, that's so good.
It may have been part of the plan. It may have just been a minor setback, or, of course, an acceptable loss. You gotta remember, our recent jaunt back in time allowed us to be seen by him. Meaning he knew he was in the timeline where we would kill him.
That's right. That whole scene's going to play a big role.
I'm quite sure that his defeat in Ny'alotha was worked into the plan.
We get played
and tied up with this will be Ashara, arguably the strongest mage in Azeroth's history, and that is before she found
bringing
whatever
back an old
she
legend
wanted.
every 4 years, pretty much.
Now, her allegiances have always been the same. She's the queen. Sometimes she will bend the knee, but never in her heart. With both Sargeras and N'Zoth, she only had her own
Sargeras and Illidan will be back. Yeah, probably. I mean, they're just chilling right now. They're not dead. They're not out of the story completely. They're just shelved, so they'll definitely be back. When they come back, I'm not sure. But if an all-out war between the Void and the Light happens, I mean, Sargeras would be there for it, I think. We all know how he feels about the Void. The man was willing to destroy planets to avoid it.
Victory in mind. When we freed her in Ny'alotha, she left through a portal, and she said she was tired of dealing with harbingers. Of course, in this case, the old gods.
I don't know, Yasiraj kind of got destroyed. I can't imagine him coming back. He got literally ripped out of the planet and ripped apart by the Titans, so I don't know. It'd be a tough one, but yeah, certainly old gods. Most of them, they're not really dead yet. Sam, you Team Void or Team Light? I'm Team Scourge.
Are the harbingers of the Void Lords. Therefore, she
I don't agree or disagree with either.
The Void Lords, the real boss. Now, to defeat, to ally with, to seek power from, we cannot know. But based on what we have covered in this previous video, you can assume that Zareth Umbra is likely, and per the messages of her followers, she actually seems to have found what she wanted, saving us a trip on Danuzer's wild ride to the Void Lands, whatever it may be called, because this time, Ashara did it for us, and she will come to us with whatever she's found, helpfully keeping the plotline focused on Azeroth and the things we care about, not the esoteric, bizarre background stuff that, quite clearly, most people don't care about.
Oh, retcon it out,
so
please.
Maybe she is working under the Void Lords for now, like she did with Sargeras and N'Zoth before. But she will ultimately serve herself and, of course, the people she wishes to rule. Now, you might worry hearing Zareth Umbra, right? These Shadowlands comparisons may appear in your head, but don't worry, this is going to play out a lot differently.
from anything related to Shadowlands.
I'm almost completely sure. As for the why, Steve Danuser recently confirmed that old gods and the Void Lords, and I would say that the Void Lords are the people who Ashara has went to, therefore she was to either steal their power or champion them. It will be them, right? We've since found out that the Void Lords and the old gods may not always see eye to eye. This could get a bit complicated in the lore, but I think in a decently dramatic way.
One thing that goes hand in hand with Void is free will. Unlike the Titans don't like free will. They like order. They like to understand everything that's going to happen, right? Like when the Titans created a lot of the races, the humans, the dwarves, a lot of these were Titan creation races, Titan created races. We had no free will until the curse of the flesh from the old gods, and then we got free will. Then we could decide what we were going to do. So they gave us free will, which means they themselves have free will. So it's interesting to imagine that the old gods sometimes have their own agendas, and they're not necessarily aligned with what the Void Lords, who we have not seen, we don't know anything about them. They're not aligned with what the Void Lords want because they have free will. That's one of the things that the Void is kind of right over the light on.
That will have her really
Jailer will find another puppet in 6 years.
Harbingers, right? She can go and be the real deal for the Void
Some
Lords,
Bible kind of shit. Right
the old gods haven't always been particularly successful. Now, first up, whenever we time traveled back to the Black Empire in Thaldraszus, N'Zoth recognized us.
I love this.
Our appearance
this quest line has, I mean, the storylines in Dragonflight have been amazing, but this quest, this moment where N'Zoth recognized us and starts talking to us goes down so far as my favorite moment in Dragonflight. This was such a cool moment, and to think that we may have just helped N'Zoth know the one truth, because one thing about old gods is they see all truths. They believe every path could happen. Titans only believe in one truth. Only N'Zoth can see all and knows which one will come to pass because of us. That's fucking mind-blowing. That means he is like 100 steps ahead of all the other old gods and Titans. The ultimate planner. Please play us. Please play me, N'Zoth, please.
Fondle
me. Do whatever you want to me.
He was on, right?
I want to see this master plan come to fruition.
Ways that he could see, because he saw us, we were able to narrow down the possible futures.
Yes.
And that's the thing.
The
Void's
ultimate
big power is that it can see many, many, many futures. But of course, that's only
before
so
he said
useful.
It. Come on.
You need to know
Call me
what's actually
Samular.
going to come. So basically, we kind of spoiled all of Warcraft for N'Zoth. He pretty much knew that we would kill him. But nothing's changed, right? I mean, usually if a time traveler changes things in the past, well, what happens? Is it that thing where you have multiple timeways? Do we go with many worlds?
Marvel multiverse?
Do they come back and everything's bizarre and weird and different? Well, since our time shenanigans didn't really change anything, that pretty much means that we are operating on the "you already changed the past" principle, which is one of the many templates of time travel stories in media. And that pretty much confirms that we can assume that the N'Zoth that we met in Ny'alotha knew for thousands of years who would kill him, or at least that was definitely within the realms of possibility.
Yes.
Now, if you're the smartest old god around,
this kind of shit.
There's no doubt that if you know this is something that could very much happen to you, that you're going to have some sort of contingency plan. So then, Ashara, I have to wonder, what if Ashara is part of his contingency? You have to wonder about Xal'atath and the dagger. Backup. Not a 500 IQ master plan where everything is planned to the precise detail.
Not some jailer shit.
More that he's put in a metric ton of backups in case things don't go quite right. Maybe he even has contingencies against his own masters.
I mean, he is the ultimate planner. Of all the old gods, physically he's not the strongest. That's in the lore, but he is the smartest. So a planner who plans within his plans and has backups to all plans and backups to his backups totally fits within the N'Zoth lore.
Like another old god. Because in patch 10.0.7, we actually learned that there is still a fifth old god.
That's right.
Or at the very least, the book the Deathwing was writing in the margins of mentioned 5, not the 4 that we know. We're, of course, also starting to hear about a mysterious land that is beyond the veiled and forbidden seas, essentially the back of Azeroth. The only people who we know that have been there are pirates.
The next expansion.
They've told us about the vast wealth that they found. Then we see
just has 1K Horcrux spread throughout, completely unkillable, maybe.
And this familiar
The thing is, we stabbed him with a dagger that was clearly capable of holding an old god, or an old god, whatever. You know, the Xal'atath dagger right, had an old god or something of the old gods inside of it. We still don't not sure what she is, what Zalatesh was, but and then let's not forget, he was stabbed with it, right? Rathian stabbed him with it. So he could have put part of himself into that dagger. Maybe he let himself get stabbed. Maybe he spread his tentacle legs and let Rathian inside of him. That could be what happened.
Buried along with it.
There is one sword, maybe.
What if this
There's a sword in Azeroth
nested in a bunch of treasure? Well, where does it come from? I suppose that's the question. And what if it comes from somewhere beyond the Veiled Sea, east of east, west of west?
Pirate expansion.
In patch 10.1, a lot of this gets more foreboding. With N'Zoth's death, we thought that the corruption overall would be gone. But our Black Dragon brothers, they find that the Whispers are very much still there.
Yep.
The Whispers could be from our fifth and final old god.
Maybe.
And perhaps this one won't see eye to eye with the Void Lords and their plans for Azeroth.
Heroic raid today.
And even without dealing with the Black Dragons in this modern story, whenever N'Zoth was defeated, Illyria didn't have the voices stop. We see in her dialogue afterward that indeed new voices joined the chorus. So that more is happening is a clear fact within the game's canon. Now, of course, this is not to say that suddenly the Void is good and that maybe this fifth old god will disagree with the other ones. No. We have seen their plans unfold before. The Ethereals,
I think the whole good and bad trope doesn't fit into Void and Light anymore. There's goods and bads to both sides, and we are kind of the middleman.
Void Lord manifest on their homeworld of Koresh,
picking the good out of both.
Look how that went. So, here's where we're at. Ashara will return. She may be a solo operator. She may work for the Void Lords, but it's always really going to be for her. Xal'atath, now having spent years in the flesh, will likely return also. There are
what's going on with
the
that dagger?
Ethereals, especially the Void ones. They are, well, in the background in many ways, but actually they are quite in the foreground
Playable
now,
race?
because Shadreen
Ethereals,
has been
maybe?
gathering intel on us and left a shadow-scrawled coin in our adventure journal as thanks.
Right.
And she did this at the very start of the Dragonflight expansion. Check out this video if you want to learn more about the growing ethereal mystery over
what does that
the
all
last
mean?
4 or 5 years. And the old gods seem to have enjoyed building an empire and nurturing Azeroth's flesh, as they put
Nurturing
it.
what?
So helping a Void Lord destroy it, it does seem counterproductive, especially when they want to claim whatever power is at the heart of the planet.
Right.
What this all amounts to, then, is a hard confirmation that the Void threat is coming soon. And given that they really want Azeroth, I have to imagine they will come to us.
And they will come. Okay.
And to be honest with you,
I see where
I think this might even
Bellular's
be the next
mind
expansion.
is right now.
I mean, Ashara is being teased. The Ethereals are stalking us, right? There's likely another old god in the mix. There's lots of old god foreshadowing within the Dragon Isles if you look hard enough in the right places.
I mean, the whole Aberrus raid.
And then, as the cherry on top,
Void shit,
we have reason to believe that if Void is coming back, that the
so we already know the Void shit's coming into this expansion.
In the audiobook, 1,000 Years of War, Illyria
great audiobook if you haven't listened to it.
She saw the light moving through the cosmos like a ravenous predator. It touched the minds of Azeroth's mortals and corrupted them forever. Generations lived and died in invisible chains, a lifetime of obedience
servitude
for
to the
fleeting
light.
moments of peace. She saw worlds touched by holy fire. She saw war and the light striking back against Void. The Void strikes first, and it will for us, and the light will retaliate, because it wants Azeroth too, of course. But what the game has not shown us yet is that the light is just as messy as the Void. Its greatest believers are, in some cases, even doubting its intentions. As an example, Velen actually doesn't want the light to win the war.
And more importantly, we're at our third order of Mins.
He actually wants
and
to
your
stop
shitty
it.
code does not work.
And
what?
We heard from an interview
Sam 10
that
doesn't work.
Velen was quite deeply affected
on it.
by watching Xera And right now, that's literally his motivation on the World of Warcraft website.
It only worked
and of course,
the
his
first
stats
time.
are correct. He saw
I'll reach
Xera's
out to them
brutal,
today.
unwilling conversion firsthand. And obviously, watching his son's corruption and death proved to him that rather than follow the light, he has to make things right himself. He can't just follow the light's path, he has to follow his path. And that really is the new Velen, and it's why so much potential lies in his character. But with the history of the light on Azeroth, not everyone is going to feel that way. When the going gets rough, obviously expect the Scarlet, certain members of the Church of the Holy Light, the whole legion
We've
of
seen the
paladins
Scarlet
and priests
Crusade get some updates recently,
want
so.
to pick the wrong side.
On their gear.
Then there's Turalyon. In the past, he had perhaps a little bit been shown as a warhawk. I think slightly less so now, but ultimately, you just have to think about his past. He's also obviously in charge of the Alliance military.
I'll reach out to them today.
That's after fighting a 1,000-year war on the light side. Can you imagine?
Interesting. I didn't know that it only worked one time.
If Yrel showed up with her army of the light and a bunch of Naru behind her, and she demanded Azeroth kneel, surely a bit of him would want to join her.
Of course.
Go back to what he's used to.
Man loves the
but
light.
Also maybe not, because 1,000 years of fighting alongside the Army of the Light and seeing their methods didn't change his mind, but maybe his wife will.
Yeah, that's true. His wife she's a void chick, man. She's also there, yeah. But let's not forget, there's a Dreadlord currently part of the light. And very interesting. The Dreadlords are everywhere, and he's going to play some type of role in this war, I feel like. I'm still unsure of what he's doing there. But I would expect the equivalent to be on the Void side. There are going to be Dreadlords on the Void side. There were Dreadlords in the Burning Legion, which is like a Void construct, essentially, or an anti-Void. They're everywhere. I wonder what kind of role they're going to play in this whole battle.
She was the first Void Elf, and Turalyon defended her throughout that transformation.
Man, they can't even touch each other anymore. It's an interesting relationship.
In a moment of blinding faith, but I think ultimately he will not turn on Illyria.
Yeah, I don't
we
think
also
he will
know
either.
that the light has been infiltrated. Do you remember the character Lothrak?
Call me Samular. I'm telling you guys, look at this. I'm saying it before the video does. I promise you, I've not pre-watched this. It's just Samular today.
From Legion.
Predicting everything.
Well, we thought that he was proof that not all demons were bad. Maybe we harbored a few suspicions, or thought it was just a fun
I'm very
design.
suspicious of him.
It was also a bit of a warning that the light can completely transform something. The idea that this terrible demon could be turned into a good guy, but now it is actually so much more. A Nathrezim infiltration document said that the light loves nothing more than being proven right. So, basically, if they believe that they have converted a Nathrezim to their cause, they absolutely would trust them, because
infiltration,
in a way,
man. They are everywhere.
It confirms what they want to think and what they deeply dogmatically believe. So, yeah, the light, in a way, are
the light sounds like my
dumb, and Lothraxion is a plant. His involvement may be the next time that we actually get to see Denathrius
Only
again,
one truth.
because of course, as we know, Denathrius is at large. One of the only characters, I think, that was nearly universally liked in the Shadowlands expansion. So, what first seems to be two big armies clashing, I think will more likely be kind of complicated. Likely a ton of smaller factions on each side in a big mixing pot. They have their own motives, they're duking it out, and they are trying to convince us of what side we should be on.
Yeah, I think he's right.
At the end of the day, we will learn that really neither of them should win. And that kind of brings us back to this eternal
falling to us, the middleman,
the cosmos thing. Xera called it the Great Cycle, one that was supposed to be renewed with Illidan's birth. She called him the Child of Light and Shadow.
The chosen
one. cycle, from the clash at the dawn of creation to the final fight for Azeroth's world soul. Of course, that's something that previously we had seen in the game lore. I believe in a short story.
Remember I said, where's Prophet Velen?
That was in and around the
guy
time
is nowhere to be
Mist
found
Pandaria,
lately.
of this like big
what is he doing?
battle. And of course, in a way, you cannot mention Illidan without
We have not seen him in this entire expansion. He's just jerking off in the Exodar or something.
Because essentially of them like both being born with like golden eyes, which is supposed to be, you know, a signifier of a character of great importance to the future of things, a character with an important destiny. But of course, for Illidan, he had his moment, and he so proudly declared that he is in fact his scars. That might sound a little bit cringe out of context,
my scars, but
it's the perfect analogy for how he would actually feel. It is how he feels, and also a little bit for us, right?
Only as our
people of this world, the players. If you think about the overall story, they've been touched by and threatened by every single force and still remained independent. We are our battle scars, and we will have to remember that when Yrel and perhaps Ashara come knocking.
Oh yeah.
Because that day, we are going to be launching into the most terrible war in Azeroth's history. And if you need any more proof, I think this is it. And this is something that went quite unnoticed during Legion. Here it is.
What is it?
The final Legion invasion of Azeroth was going down. This is before the Tomb of Sargeras, when things canonically are still looking like they could be quite bleak after both sides taking tremendous losses.
Variant in this
now,
is badass.
The Legion threatens the Eastern Kingdoms through Karazhan, and perhaps even Karazhan could open a second front in the war. Well, Medivh briefly appeared there, and it was a completely insane moment for the lore, because despite Medivh's entire existence, his entire life being tied to the threat of the Legion, and this being the ultimate climax of that story, he said that he had something more important to do. In the Great Dark, an even more terrible war was building, and he had to go and work out what was happening and how to sort it out. So what could be more terrible than the Legion's total desolation of the planet? Well, how about infinite armies clashing in ceaseless battle?
I don't think that's that much of a stretch.
In Revendreth, we first saw the light when it's angry. The Naru scorched the realm. And you know, that's the realm that is about redemption. And that seems like it's something that should be quite aligned with the Light's ideas. But of course, they had been hit so hard that there are permanent scars that still burn violently. And they only
Scarring is the
when
theme
they
here,
got
it looks
what
like.
they wanted, which was the banishment of the Nathrazim, something that you could potentially argue kind of bit them back. Throughout Legion, we saw planets in the Great Dark made desolate by Void. On the world of Draenor, we saw the brutality of the Light's doctrine, right?
This is the Mag'har Orc questline that I was talking about.
Wiped out. That is what we learned from the Mag'har Orc allied race introduction quest. Hell, even earlier with some of the lore of Draenor, you learn a little bit of what can happen, the potential risks of the force of life going out of control. It's something you see plenty in that expansion.
Everything in moderation.
And in Chronicle that they've been a little bit less hard on in the game recently. Over in Argus, we saw the unhinged Shadow Guard wildly sacrifice themselves for their Void Masters. So it's going to be a pretty damn crazy war, one that will ravage the world in ways that we've never seen before. It'll test loyalties and allegiances in a way that some of the game's characters have never had to deal with. I mean, with Illyrian Terralion, obviously, there's the status of their son, which I think could be quite interesting.
He's going to get a new model
like
soon.
Salandria, another, in that case, a Blood Elf character that Blizzard had been setting up, right? That, I believe the bronze dragonflight seemed to indicate that she had something dark in her future. And obviously at the end of Legion in patch 9.2.5, they brought her back.
Yes.
Every fight has been a pretty simple one broadly, right? There's a bad guy. Everyone agrees on the bad guy because they're bad, and we go and kill them.
Morally great characters, not really.
Change that up. Or at the very least, we'll be caught in quite a crazy crossfire. Just at this time, it's not about picking a side. It is about
surviving,
making a side. Really, Shadowlands is a cosmos divided will not stand. Brought that idea to us in the worst way. That didn't feel real. It didn't feel rich. It felt like another rug pull. But as Dragonflight is proving, it's more that a family divided can't stand either. So the ideas of unity are even being set up with the
cross-faction
and
cross-faction guilds unity.
On.
There you go.
It's going to be a pretty fascinating time. So, when Ashara turns up at the head of an infinite swarm of void creatures and Yrel's crusade comes knocking, it's going to be up to us, the adventurers of Azeroth, stuck in the middle, to bring the
Pug Raiders of Azeroth
to an end.
I'll cross your faction.
But perhaps by bringing the cosmos' two most antagonistic forces onto the same side, our side.
That's right.
Think about how Xal'atath calls the Naaru long-lost brethren. I think
shit, I never realized you said that.
Either at the start of Legion or in the first patch of Legion that they added that voice line. And I think they quite clearly added it with some intent. So, be this the next expansion or the one after that, that is indeed what I think is coming. You're going to have Ashara, Xal'atath, Yrel, potentially even a bit of Illidan. I think it could be pretty
couple girls in Illidan.
Okay.
Sounds like a good time.
Let me know what you think anyway. What is your dream expansion? I mean, we all know that Void is going to happen. Light's been teased consistently. Void has as well. And to be honest with you, at some point, World of Warcraft is going to have to give it a rest on the color purple.
World of Warcraft, Revenge of the Furries.
Really, they have to give the purple
Fury of the Furries.
So I think the next time the Void happens, much like with how we saw demons here or there for years, and then we had the big demonic blowout with Legion, I think for these two other big groups of enemies, we need the big blowout. Send them off with an absolute bang, and launch us in whatever comes next. What do you think? Let me know. Check out this video next.
I definitely think N'Zoth has some
there's a whole
roles to play here.
constellation of them that are directly tied to this video, but I'll pick whatever I think's best for this link.